here for another episode of Dear Siddiqi. This is where I tune in and tap into my intuitive superpowers and answer life's most pressing questions from a place of love and sometimes fierceness. So I'm going to jump in today with a general reading for all of you. Now, this is a general reading. This is me using my psychic abilities to read the energy that is available to all of us as a gift to you. And again, this is take what you like and leave the rest. This is meant to be helpful. And if it triggers you, it could be that it is not for you, but it could also be that there is something in here for you to hold on to and ruminate and really explore, which is the energy of this week. So trust that if you landed here today, it is because you are being called to something greater. Now, this information is truly meant to be of service to you. I am here as your friend. Siddiqi means the friend that tells the truth. But the lawyers say that I am meant to remind you that this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am here as your guide. I do this professionally. And at the very same time, we are all meant to be responsible for the choices that we are making. So with that, I will jump right into the weekly reading for you, and then I will go into reader questions. As you know, or if you don't know and you're joining us here, I want you to know that you can submit your questions to Dear Siddiqi, that's SIDDIQI @gmail.com. We will read through the questions and I answer 2 questions per episode. That means that you get free intuitive insights on life's most pressing questions. It is my act of service for you. And whatever channel you're watching this on, please join us, subscribe, and please do share this with anyone that you believe this would be of service to and helpful to. That is how we are getting this message out and being of help to more people. So this week, the message is about taking responsibility for our sensitivities, taking responsibility for our triggers. Now, one of my superpowers is triggering people, and I used to run from it. I used to apologize for it. I used to feel bad about it. I used to be scared of it. I used to do everything in my power to not trigger people. And I would feel this impending sense of doom with clients, with friends, with family members of, oh my gosh, I don't want to piss this person off or get them upset. And so I would hold back my truth and I would not live my truth. And I would try to damage control the situation so that I would not upset people. And I was always walking on eggshells. And this was especially true in my job in corporate America. Now, many of my clients are in corporate. They are high-level executives and leaders, and they are wanting to step more into their power and truth and really own their intuition, their gut instincts as a way to make better, more clear decisions. They're coming to me to help hone that instinct and sharpen their ability to trust it, because we know that the intuitive guidance that we get is not some otherworldly woo-woo information. It's actually a cutting-edge technology that we all have embedded in us. And so everywhere in your life that you are not following that sensitivity, not taking responsibility for it, we are disowning a source of knowledge, a source of input that is trying to guide us and trying to lead us to a greater sense of awareness. You might call it emotional intelligence. You might call it, you can call it whatever you want, actually. But what it is it's information coming to you, through you, in you. And it's an experience that you're having, but we're judging it. We're calling it, oh, it's so weird. Oh, it's so strange. Oh, it was bizarre. and we're disowning it, and we're not taking responsibility for the experience that we're having of these gut instincts. And then what's happening is that we don't feel safe with it. We don't trust it. And we're having disasters. Now, if I were to say to all of you out there, when was a time that you had a gut instinct that you didn't trust it and you got into the wrong relationship? Or, you took the job that you shouldn't for money, and then it ended up being a disaster, and, so on and so forth. That's an example of not taking responsibility for your sensitivities. And that is the message of this week, is that there are those of us out there that this is our world, this is our profession. And maybe we're on the edge of sensitivity where we're too sensitive, and it's actually hard or maybe excruciating to live in the world with all of the sensitivities. We have gluten sensitivity and sugar sensitivity and all sorts of like an allergy to the world. And then there's those of us that don't want to own our sensitivities. And the message this week is to bring all of those sensitivities into alignment. And 2023 is an opportunity for us to build a container of trust. I'm thinking of that film, Meet the Fockers, where Ben Stiller and what is his name? Anyway, the circle of trust. And I'm joking about that, but I'm not joking, because this is a year where you get to build your own container for a circle of trust for your own sensitivities. And so when you are triggered, that is a great opportunity to not see it as something strange, not see it as something to blame other people for, but it's your signal. It's the alarm bell going off. It's the red flag. Not that something's even wrong, but that you're meant to pay attention to what's going on around you. But most importantly, what's going on inside of you. What are you feeling? Where are you feeling it? What are the sensations? To really slow it down and to become aware of what that trigger is from a place of curiosity, not from a place of fixing it, not even from a place of figuring it out, but from a place of awareness and observation. And when you do this, you are taking ownership of that sensitivity. And that is one of the steps that I teach as a part of owning the intuition, owning the gut instinct, owning the woo, if you like, as a very important part of leadership. Because at the end of the day, what sets apart ordinary leaders from extraordinary leaders is the leaders that can make split-second decisions that end up being very accurate and lead to unprecedented results. And the people that do that are the people that inherently have learned to trust and have evidence that their gut instincts actually lead to these unprecedented results. So if you want to learn more about how to do that, I'm doing a free mini workshop that starts on February 2nd. The information about that is below. I have a 6-step process that I am putting out in the world that can actually help you hone and train this gut instinct, your intuition, so that you can become a better leader, a more effective leader. I believe that your intuition is a muscle that you can train. I hope that was helpful. Write in the comments below what you got out of that. And certainly please consider joining us on February 2nd, noon PST, for this free mini course, webinar, whatever we're calling it. But it is one of the it's part of the 6-step process that I am teaching in 2023. So deep breath in, hope that was helpful. And I'm going to just dive into the Dear Siddiqi questions this week. We have 2 of them. So the first one I think is really apropos for what just came through in that information. And it is, Dear Siddiqi, I feel so powerless and restricted by the current circumstances in my life. What do you recommend as a way to start moving forward? And how do I overcome feeling so affected by the circumstances of my life? And she called herself overly sensitive Susie in Oklahoma. So, how do I overcome? So, dear Susie, there is never any way to control the circumstances of our lives. There is never any way to control because when we control, we constrict. And when we constrict, it's like a boa constrictor trying to digest the circumstances of our lives. And when we are controlling and constricting the digestion of our lives, we are cutting off ourselves from the life force energy that is wanting to express itself inside of us, in us, of us, and through us. And so when you feel powerless, it is because you are struggling. It is because you are not in acceptance of the people around you and their choices. You are not in acceptance of the circumstances that you find yourself in. You are powerless because you do not see that you have a choice to do it differently. But more importantly, you do not see that you have a choice to be different in the circumstances. And how do you be different? You think different, you behave different, and that is how you be different. So, this is not so much about how you do, but how you be, because how you do leads to powerlessness. Doing is a result of your beliefs. And clearly, your belief is that you need to control the situation, which has led to feeling powerless over your circumstances. So, dear Susan, the way to move forward is to take a step back and to surrender rather than feeling powerless. Surrender to the people, places, and things that you cannot control and decide and choose to control the only thing that you can, which is yourself. So it is time, dear one, to push up your sleeves and get in place some practices of deep, deep, deep discernment and self care so that you can really look at your life from a place of self love, self acceptance, and build self esteem. Because when you do not come from a place of self love and self esteem, you begin to make choices that render you powerless to come from a place of being rather than doing. So when all else fails, pull back, slow down, and focus on self love. What's coming to me is Melody Beatty, Codependent No More. Really great book from the 80s and 90s, focusing on self love and self care and being the center of your own universe and really looking at why we are powerless is because we're trying to fix and change everything outside of ourselves. And so, from a place of love, I say to you, the question is never, ever about how do I fix or change anyone or anything else. It will always and forever be, dear friend, how do I choose from a different place to be the divine co-creator of my own life? I hope that was helpful and this information is given to you with so much love. Okay, I need some more coffee. Hold on. All right, one more question here. By the way, I just want to say, friends, I love your questions. It makes me want to cry. It just I've been in business for 35 years and this is the most fun I have ever had in my life. And I want to thank my friend Julie Cans, who gave me this idea she's like, why don't you just go online and do like an agony aunt show and channel once or twice a week for people and answer their questions? And this is like the most fun that I've had ever in my business. And I just love it so much. So I love your questions. Please feel free to ask them anonymously, make up a name. It's totally okay if you don't want people to know that you're asking these questions, but I love this. And this is so fun for me. And I hope it's helpful for you. So how, dear Siddiqui, before COVID, my life seemed perfectly normal. Holler. I had a job, a loving partner, a furry child, Benny. My life was my life was picture perfect. Since COVID, none of these things seem to matter. No matter what I do or accomplish, it never feels like enough, and I'm not very satisfied. It's as if all the color drained from the picture. I wonder if you could help me understand the meaning of life. I know it's a big question, but I would really like your take on it. Anonymous existential crisis in Hollywood, California. It kind of seems like I answered this question already. So if I made a mistake and I did answer this before, there's got to be some reason that it's coming up again. And so if you're a regular listener and I did answer this, well, here we are again. It must be an important question. So how do I kind of get out? I'm going to take this as how do I get out and get connected after COVID? Because I remember another question that I saw someone write in and say, I'm having a hard time getting out after COVID and getting out of my own way. And I saw a number of questions like this of I'm feeling very introverted and shy after COVID. And it's hard for me to kind of pull out of myself and put myself out there. And as someone who may come off as an extrovert on all of the tests, I am truly an introvert. I'm great one on one. I'm great here on the camera, and I'm fantastic on stages. Um, but I need some separation. And so COVID was also very hard for me because I loved it. I loved being kind of in the cocoon and the separation. But it was very hard for the people that I know that are very introverted. So if we boil it down to how do I get out and connect after COVID? And how do I understand the meaning of life, which is connection with self, connection with others. And we put that all into one big question that I'm supposed to answer in 2 minutes or less because this is a timed episode. It's all about connection and pulling the plug on our connection with each other face to face really put us up against the parts of ourselves that we we didn't want to face, and we were so distracted as a collective of humans. We were so destructive with all of the distractions that we had in our lives. Yes. and and this forced separation from each other meant that we had to really sit with ourselves in a way that we would not have and we have not in the history of humanity. And so coming back to ourselves, coming back to each other after this period of time is an opportunity again for us to be more sensitive, integrating this theme of sensitivity and this theme of container and this I don't know about you friends, but for me, having pulled away and then coming back together, I now have an even more heightened and refined sense and attuned sense of almost like it's almost like I can smell people more accurately because I cleansed my palate while we were apart. And so I don't have as much need to connect with everybody, but when I do connect, it's more It's more deep, it's more pure, it's more refined. And so, how do I get out there and connect after COVID? And how do I find more meaning in the connections and the meaning in life is with more discernment. And that is the message of today is you have the opportunity to choose more discernment in who you connect with and how you connect. I know that sounds really simple, but if you sit with it, it's actually quite a profound offering for you to contemplate. So once again, my name is Siddiqi Ray. I am your friend that tells the truth from a place of love, sometimes fierceness. I hope this was helpful. Please, whatever channel you're watching this on, please like, subscribe, join, share this with a friend, share this Dear Siddiqi episode. Join us on February 2nd if you too want to learn how to hone your gut instinct, your intuition. And thank you so much for joining us today. It was an honor and a privilege to spend this time together. So much love to you, and I look forward to the next time that we spend